Okay. Hi guys, and welcome to my second thrift flipping episode where I find thrifted clothes that are not so cute and I make them a little bit more trendy and a little bit more now and less so like then. Today I have my most extreme thrift flip by far, and it's only my second time sewing, and I just gotta say, this is not a like expert thrift flip. I basically just DIY'd the whole thing without really looking at any videos to see what I should do. So I kind of just winged it. And so, but if but that just shows you if I can do it, you can do it. So this is a good tutorial. Okay. I actually went thrifting a few weeks ago and did a little vlog on 3 different thrift stores that I went to, and I actually showed you guys this skirt in my vlog. I picked up this size 16 midi skirt. I don't know if it's just a midi skirt because I'm so tall or if it was supposed to be like a maxi skirt, but either way, she's a midi skirt. And one of the reasons I feel like thrift flipping might be hard for some people is because you kind of have to have a vision for what you're gonna do with an item. What drew me to this skirt is that it had this faded blue floral pattern. I feel like it's very vintage. Another thing that drew me to the skirt was the linen texture. Summer's coming up and linen's a very breathable fabric, and I feel like linen's also very in right now. Another thing that I thought made it a little bit more unique is the 2 buttons that are on the front of the skirt that kind of clasp the flap to the rest of the skirt, if that makes sense. They have this like pearly sheen, and I just think they're really gorgeous with this skirt. I really feel like you could find this on like the Reformation website or at Urban Outfitters and pay like $80 for it. So I was super excited when I found it and thought maybe that I could turn it into something a little bit more modern. So without further ado, let's start. The first thing I knew I needed to do was take in the skirt. I wasn't really fully decided at first if I was gonna cut it and make it a mini skirt or just leave it at the length that it was, because I do think that midi skirts are really pretty, but I find that I wear them less just because I don't really know exactly where you can wear something like that to. And while I was taking in the skirt, I really wanted it to sit at my high waist. I wanted it to be like very high-waisted. So I'm sure there is a less awkward and more precise way to do this, but to guide me on where I would need to make the new seams for my skirt, I put it on and took 2 safety pins and pinned them so that the skirt was tight at my high waist. I also wanted to make sure that both seams were pretty evenly on both sides of the zipper so the skirt looked symmetrical. Then I quickly realized that the skirt needed to be inside out in order for me to sew it up and not have like crazy seams everywhere. So I had to redo that whole process. I took it off, turned it inside out, pinned it again. Anyways, continuing. Learn from my mistakes. Once I took the safety pins and pinned the skirt where I wanted it to be taken in, I put 3 more safety pins down the seam so I would have a template on where to sew. Then I found some matching thread and started sewing. Before I even finished the taking in process, I got this error message on my sewing machine, and so I looked in the manual to like see what I had done because my sister told me if you get an error message, look in the manual, fix whatever it is. So I did that, and turns out I just didn't put the foot down before I tried to start sewing. If y'all use a sewing machine, you know that's like the only thing you even have to do. Rookie mistake on my part, but we're good. Then I finally finished sewing the 2 sections that I wanted to take in, and I took out the pins and tried it on. I was so shook when this skirt fit me like literally perfectly. I don't know how I did it. I'm sure that it was just luck that made it like exactly perfect because I know the pinning was really not good and the sewing was really not good, so you know, luck was on my side with this thrift flip. And as you can see here, there were definitely still some issues with the bunching of the fabric because I only sewed like 2 little darts. I don't know if they're called darts, but I think they are. So I only sewed the 2 little seams and I didn't cut the fabric out for one. And since the skirt was so big on me, there was a lot of excess fabric at the bottom, but I'll deal with that later, don't worry about it. Then I decided that I did want to make it a mini skirt because I didn't really love the cut of the skirt originally. Maybe it was a little bit more flowy at the bottom, but I decided that I would definitely wear it more as a mini skirt. So I decided how short I wanted the skirt to be and then gave myself a few inches for the seam and any inevitable sewing errors that I might make, and this came out to be about 17 inches long. So then I cut off the excess fabric and pinned around the bottom where I wanted the new hem to be, and then I sewed my new hem. And as you can see, this skirt kind of has a flap in the front, and so it wraps around more times than a normal skirt would. It's like a skirt and a half, so that made it extremely difficult for me to get all of the sides exactly even because I had to deal with this extra piece of fabric in the front. Anyways, I finished sewing and I took the pins out and tried it on, and I'm honestly so amazed that it looks as decent as it does just because of how sloppy and unplanned this whole thing was. But when I was going to do the big final reveal and like put on a cute top and like put on some cute spring accessories and like earrings and like all that stuff, I realized that I didn't really have a shirt that went with the skirt very well, and so I knew what I had to do. Make a 2-piece set. Next day, I took the leftover fabric that I had cut off the bottom of the skirt and decided how long I would want the top to be. I decided that would be about 9 inches. So I pinned the new fabric at 9 inches and sewed a new seam. And so I wanted it to be kind of just a straight across tube top like thing, but I didn't want it to be tight necessarily because the skirt's pretty tight. So I wanted the top to be fitted and then the bottom to kind of flow out just a tiny bit. So what I decided to do was take my chest measurements right under my armpit where I wanted the new tube top to sit. And I took that measurement and just used that all the way around the shirt. And since my back curves in, it was a little bit looser around the bottom than it was on the top, which was the desired effect. Then I spent about a million hours trying to decide how I would keep the top up. Like I wanted to do some kind of straps at the top. And first I tried to do straps and that did not work out. I didn't have a loop turner or whatever that's called. I think that's a loop turner. And I couldn't do it with the safety pin. And then I just like ruined a whole piece of fabric. And then I tried to do buttons with the extra buttons that came with the skirt. And then there was only one extra button, so I couldn't even button up the back. And at that point I had used up all of the extra fabric that I had from the skirt, so I couldn't make any other kind of straps or any other tie back. So I just decided to sew straight up the back and hope for the best. I absolutely love how this two-piece set turned out. I feel like it's just such a vintage look that you would definitely find in any kind of Urban Outfitters or Free People. And I love the fabric and I love the feel and the breathableness of the outfit. And I'm just honestly really proud of myself for sewing it up and like making my own little outfit out of a humongous skirt. So yeah, I really hope this gives you guys some inspiration to go thrifting more. I feel like thrifting is so sustainable and everything that you thrift is so unique because no one else has anything just like it. Especially if you thrift flip something, like you're literally just making your own clothes for yourself. Okay, so that's it for today's video. I really hope you guys liked it. I love doing things like this and I have like a whole pile of clothes to thrift flip, so I'm super excited to do more of these. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.